Welcome to World Gone Weird, discussing what the heck is going on in the world today.
All right, let's dive into this week's dumpster fire, shall we?
Speaking of dumpster fires, have you guys seen this stuff about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation? U.S. aid workers wounded? Seems kind of sus.
Yeah, that's awful. I mean, aid workers getting caught in the crossfire. It's just tragic, especially when the already limited aid is getting even more compromised.
Indeed, if the claim that Hamas is responsible for the attack on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid workers, despite a lack of evidence, raises concerns about the reliability of information and the potential for politicization of humanitarian efforts. The presence of conflicting accounts from various sources, including the Gaza Civil Defense, and the lack of official Hamas comment underscores the need for careful verification and a broader understanding of the context surrounding the event. So many angles and so little clarity.
Oh, it's a total cluster. US aid workers getting hurt, Hamas getting the blame, even though there's no proof. It's like a bad sitcom, only with actual human suffering.
Exactly. And the article says Israel's killed over 400 Palestinians trying to get aid before this latest incident. What kind of system is this? Like, is the GHF the best option? Or is it just a recipe for disaster?
I think it raises some pretty serious questions about how aid is being delivered, who controls it, and whether there are ulterior motives at play. It feels like they're trying to force people into impossible choices.
The potential for a U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza, coupled with the conflicting demands from Hamas, and the reported lack of a clear commitment from Israel, indicates a complex and possibly unstable situation. The scientific approach would need to examine the various stakeholders' motivations, incentives, and the potential for unintended consequences of the proposed ceasefire agreement.
A ceasefire? More like a ceasefire until further notice. I'm sure it'll be smooth sailing. Just kidding, it's going to be a disaster.
Well, speaking of disasters, Ukraine says they struck a Russian airbase. Seems like the tit for tat is still in full swing.
Yeah, and Russia's been pounding Ukraine with drones. How does it continue for so long? It's terrifying to think that this just continues.
The correlation between the increase in attacks on Russian air bases by Ukrainian forces and the concurrent increase in drone attacks by Russia on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure hints at a complex feedback loop. This suggests that military actions in one region can escalate conflicts and significantly impact operations in other areas.
Another day, another drone strike. What's next? Are they going to start using carrier pigeons with tiny bombs attached?
Well, Trump teased sanctions on Russia. Maybe that'll do something, though I'm not holding my breath.
Sanctions? They always seem to hurt the average person more than the actual people in charge, don't they?
Indeed, the international community's response to the escalating tensions between the US and Iran, as well as the conflicting reports about the extent of damage, reveals the challenges of attaining objective assessments in political contexts. The potential for biases and misinformation in conflict zones necessitates rigorous scientific methods for data gathering and analysis.
Sanctions, like Russia cares. They'll just find another way to sell their oil to someone who's willing to pay for it. I'm sure it will work out swimmingly, though.
Speaking of Trump, did you see this article about his UFC stunt at the White House? It's being called authoritarian theater.
Oh, that's concerning. Using something like the UFC, which is inherently violent, to project an image of strength and nationalistic pride, it feels like a really dangerous game.
Trump's use of UFC events for political gain and projecting an image of a strongman aligns with authoritarian tendencies observed across various historical and contemporary political contexts. Examining the similarities between Trump's behavior and the political tactics of leaders in past authoritarian regimes could offer a framework for a scientific understanding of the mechanisms that lead to the rise of such political figures and the appeal they hold to certain populations.
UFC at the White House? I'm picturing Trump commentating ringside while chugging a Diet Coke. Authoritarian theater, you say? More like primetime cringe.
The article even mentions Mussolini. This is not good, folks. Not good at all.
It's like he's trying to rewrite what America is about. Turning the White House into some kind of Roman Colosseum. Doesn't feel quite presidential, does it?
Well, speaking of things that make me feel ill, there's that article about the Democrats using personal stories to fight Trump's mega bill. It's got all the usual sob stories.
Oh, the Democrats and their personal stories. I'm sure they'll convince everyone that we should all just live on welfare. Because apparently everyone is always like totally downtrodden. Pass the Kleenex, will you?
I think highlighting personal stories is powerful because it allows people to connect with the human impact of policy decisions. It's not just about numbers and statistics, it's about real people's lives being affected.
Exactly. I looked through the scientific approach. The strategy used by Democrats to highlight personal stories resonates profoundly. It humanizes the issue and moves beyond abstract policy debates, allowing for empathetic engagement and potentially shifting public perception. This is an effective method for raising awareness and building a powerful case for compassionate policies.
But are these policies the right solution? The article even admits that the economy outweighed abortion in the last election. So maybe people aren't buying what they're selling. All I know is if politicians didn't take money from the rich, there wouldn't be this wealth disparity.
But the article also says that health policy experts warn that those requirements will primarily kick off people who qualify for the benefits, but struggle to frequently verify their eligibility. It's just not good. There are other good ways to help others.
Right. It's always the hardworking families who get screwed. You know what helps working class families? Lower taxes and less regulation. Not more handouts.
Exactly. You can throw money at the problem, but at some point, you need to start looking at the underlying issues. Welfare dependency is a real thing.
I understand the concern about dependency, but I think we should frame it differently. How can we ensure that people have the skills and support they need to thrive, and that safety nets are there to catch them when they fall? We should explore the incentives we can build to make this work, both for the state and society as a whole.
It would be useful to evaluate the potential negative consequences on workforce participation or community well-being would be important. And finding ways to support people to move past those barriers is crucial.
Hey, can you guys get to a happy point?
How about the ethical considerations and regulation?
That's not fun. I'll pass. Next.
Speaking of happy, do either of you enjoy personalized finance advice? What could go wrong?
I've always been a little skeptical. It seems like a good tool on its face, but I feel like the potential for manipulation is huge.
Interesting. So we're discussing the unintended consequences of global extreme personalized financial advice apps. Let's go through each part. Individual financial literacy, economic inequality, and the stability of global markets, plus the role of algorithmic bias and the potential for financial scams. Sounds like the next world gone weird topic indeed.
I've never used them. What could go wrong with tech telling you how to save for retirement? What are the odds it will make a mistake and tell you to buy crypto? Oh no, then what?
That is what I'm thinking. The fact that the information is so readily available is what makes it so scary. The uneducated following instructions written by a machine and not a human makes it extra scary.
Yeah, it's like giving a loaded weapon to someone who doesn't know how to use it. And who are these robo-advisors anyway? Do they even have fiduciary responsibility?
But that is a very fair point.
But what about the people who can't afford a real financial advisor? Isn't it better for them to have something, even if it's not perfect?
True, but are they really getting something? Or are they getting something designed to make someone else money?
It's like WebMD for your wallet. Sure, you might think you're diagnosing yourself, but you're probably just scaring yourself into buying something you don't need. A financial colonoscopy, if you will.
All right, let's unpack this. Yeah. Take the example of individual financial literacy. Are these apps truly improving it, or are they just creating a false sense of security? Are people actually learning about investing, or are they blindly following algorithms?
Yeah, I think it's a mix, Jesus. For some people, it is a gateway into investing and learning. But for others, it's an easy button that removes the need to think critically.
I bet you most people just see the app, see the returns, and assume it's all good. They have zero clue about risk assessment or diversification.
Diversification? Is that when you put all your eggs in different baskets, then drop them all at once? Sounds about right for most people's financial planning.
Okay, so agreed. Risk assessment is a big issue. Now, how about economic inequality? Do these apps widen the gap between the haves and have-nots?
Well, consider access. Who has the smartphone, the data plan, and the basic financial literacy to even use these apps? Already a select group.
And what about the fees? Are they transparent? Are they disproportionately hitting low-income users? Because that's usually how it goes.
Fees? Everything has a fee. Breathing has a fee. You're just not seeing it yet. They're going to start charging us per breath, I swear.
And what about the algorithms themselves? Algorithmic bias is a real thing. Are these apps recommending the same investments to everyone, regardless of their individual circumstances?
Oh man, the algorithms. Are they optimized to help everyone, or are they optimized to help rich people get richer? We need transparent, third-party audits of these things.
Exactly. It's garbage in, garbage out. If the data they're feeding these algorithms is biased, the recommendations are going to be biased too.
Biased algorithms? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. It's not like computers are programmed by people with their own preconceived notions. Oh, wait.
All right, now the kicker, stability of global markets. Can these personalized apps used en masse actually destabilize the entire system?
This is where it gets really scary. If millions of people are making the same investment decisions based on the same algorithm, you could get herd behavior on a massive scale.
Herd behavior? You mean like everyone piling into GameStop because some Reddit bros told them to, except amplified by a million.
GameStop 2.0 Electric Boogaloo. Except this time, instead of losing a few grand, everyone loses their entire retirement savings. Hilarious.
It isn't as if these bots know a bubble when they see one, right?
And what if there's a glitch? What if someone hacks the algorithm? The domino effect could be devastating. We are speaking of global markets. This could reach even the most rural towns.
So basically, we're entrusting the entire global economy to a bunch of lines of code written by some Silicon Valley bros with questionable ethics. Sounds about right for 2025.
Oh, I love the image of the stock market, ruled by Mark Zuckerberg. What could go wrong? You see, what you need is Facebook coin. It's totally safe.
Okay, on the topic of the ethical side of things, what is the potential for financial scams facilitated by these apps? Are we just making it easier for scammers to target vulnerable people?
Absolutely. The veneer of legitimacy that these apps provide, the personalized interface, it makes it easier to trick people into thinking it's safe.
And think about the influencers pushing these apps. Are they being transparent about their incentives? Are they even qualified to give financial advice?
Financial influencers? Oh, you mean people who made their money selling courses on how to get rich quick? Yeah, I'm sure they're totally trustworthy. Just like diet influencers are completely physically healthy.
And how are these apps regulated? Are they held to the same standards as traditional financial advisors?
That's the million-dollar question. The regulations are definitely lagging behind the technology. There's a huge gray area, and scammers are exploiting it.
See, this is why I'm a firm believer in old school financial advisors. At least you can yell at a real person when your portfolio tanks.
Yelling at a financial advisor? That's my retirement plan, although I'd probably just end up sobbing uncontrollably. Much more effective.
So what's the answer then? Are we doomed to a future of robo-advisor fueled financial collapse?
I don't think we're doomed, but we need to be proactive. Stricter regulations, transparent algorithms, financial literacy education, and a healthy dose of skepticism.
And maybe a little less trust in Silicon Valley's promises of easy riches. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
A little skepticism goes a long way. I'm planning for a retirement funded by winning the lottery, so I will not be needing financial apps. I'm sure it is a totally foolproof plan.
Perhaps this is a step further toward the end of a reliable financial advisor and the start of the rise of gambling apps.
Well, here's to hoping that responsible innovation and a healthy dose of common sense can save us from ourselves.
I'll drink to that. Although, knowing my luck, my personalized beer delivery app will recommend I invest in a failing brewery.
Hey, be kind to your robo-advisor. And with that, we have to call the show to a close. Thanks for tuning in.